Hi and welcome to another Just Ask Jen video hosted by Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. Today I'm answering the question of how to create a winter layout with a modern feel. And the first step would be to find a collection that is a little bit more sophisticated than perhaps a more playful collection that you might pick for your children. And you can use children's photos on here, and I'll show you how as we get making the layout. But first I wanted to point out the elements in this kit that make it a little more sophisticated. This is the Aurora collection from Basic Gray. And included in this collection are flare stickers, chipboard elements, these are letters. This is an ephemera pack that includes all these different shapes, and there are some in a transparency as well as die cuts. These are chipboard pieces that have frames as well as elements. These are pockets, and the pockets do have some inserts. There is a 6x13 sticker sheet, and you'll notice that there are colors that are reminiscent of winter, but the theme itself is very broad. This is a great way to bring in those particular elements. Here's the papers in the kit. And this made me think of constellations and things that you might do at night, as well as the purples and blues made me think of winter. So this one isn't particularly designed for a winter page, but coordinates well with photos that you probably have already taken. And I'll show you the photos that I picked as we make the layout. So beautiful colors, and there's both some feminine colors such as the pinks as well as some masculine colors. And there's very sophisticated patterns such as this particular pattern paper, and as well as tone on tone. Here's the alpha sticker sheet with 3 different types of alphas. And then the element sticker sheet with more frames and die cut elements. So the foundation of our layout is going to be this piece of pattern paper that is teal tone on one side. On the other side is a star pattern. Now when I have a collection kit that I've purchased and I love particular papers inside of the kit and I want to use both sides, sometimes I will purchase the piece of paper in more than one. So I'll buy 2 of, say, this paper so that I can use both sides. But we're going to use the teal side. On top of that, we're going to place a sheet of pattern paper, solid purple on one side, gold on the other. And you'll notice that I have pre-stitched around it. I did use some tan stitching in my machine, and we'll go ahead and adhere that to the layout. I'm going to create some fun layers on this particular layout. And at the very bottom, before I stick it all the way down, I'm going to add a border strip. And this is a kind of teal border strip. It's a large scallop. It's dot on one side. And we'll place that down. Place the sticky side on top. And then we'll go ahead and adhere this to our layout by adding a little bit more adhesive. And then you'll notice that I'm slightly off-centering this particular pattern paper, and I'm using the actual pattern to align the sides. Now, the photo that I'm going to use for this particular layout is a photo from 2009. There are a lot of photos and stories that I have yet to tell, so I'm pulling from the past a little bit. This is a photo of my son in the snow. Now this is a child layout, but again, we're doing a sophisticated styling to it to show you how you can use different elements to mix and match on your layout to get a whole new look. Then from the pockets that I showed you earlier, we're going to use this Today's Agenda card, which was an insert, and then I'm going to use a separate purple card. And I do love the pocket, but I really loved the tabbed edge. So we're going to go ahead and attach this card to that tabbed edge, and you could cut off the pattern, or rather the rest of the pocket if you wanted to. However, I am not going to do that. And then we'll look at kind of the placement here. I'll place the pocket down. Before I place the photo on the page, I had a doily just laying on my desk from another project. It is a craft colored doily. It's fun to see companies coming out with colored doilies. And I'm going to be using a bit of gold inside this particular layout. Now you'll notice on this card, it almost looks craft, but it is actually a gold element. And craft sometimes looks like a really muted matte gold finish. So go ahead and bring in craft elements. And we'll just go ahead and attach that here to the side. And then we can add our photo to the layout. And I'm just using a dot runner adhesive. place that photo onto the layout. To the right corner of the layout, I'm going to use one of the chipboard stickers. It is a photo corner, and I'm going to stick it on. Again, it is a gold accent that kind of translates as a tan if you look closely at it. To the top of that photo, I'm going to take one of the ephemera pack items. It is a tab, and I'm going to bring in some blue to this layout, and I want a little bit of the design peeking behind it. Behind the today's agenda card, I'm going to take this particular tag, and I only need part of it. I've cut it from the background, and I'm going to add some trim to it. So I'm going to take a pencil and hold it up. Then I'm just going to use some crochet twine or baker's twine if you have it. And I'm going to thread it through and tie it into a little tag top. So I'm just kind of adding some elements to it to make it a little bit more mine. And then we'll knot it and trim off the excess before we place that right down on the layout. Now remove the pencil and stick it down. And that way the starry is still sticking up behind and we have a little bit of twine. I want to do that again with a purple tag. This is from the 6x13 sticker sheet. And we're going to stick that behind. I'm going to trim off just a little bit of it. Don't be afraid to cut up your stickers and things to make them work for the project you're working on. And then again, we'll just use some twine to make it look like an actual tag. You could use ribbon. You could also pin these to your page. You could staple them to your page. But adding texture to some of the already pre-made elements just makes them a little bit more interesting. Again, I'm using a craft colored twine to match some of the craft colored elements that I have here on the page. So we can stick those down. You see we're starting to form some of the layers. Across the edge of the page here, I'm going to stick a piece of pattern paper that is purple triangles on one side and a dot on the other. I'm going to gently fold it in half without creasing it, and then I'm going to cut a little pennant shape from it by cutting a triangle from both sides. This gives me even triangles on both sides of the pennant, and then we can attach it to the layout. We're going to cover the bottom of the photo and a little bit of that star today's agenda card. Make sure that you leave the same amount on both sides. On top of that, we're going to place one of the gold grid pattern paper. It's black on the other side with a pattern. We're going to do the same thing we did as last time. We're going to cut a little triangle from the edges, and then we'll adhere it on top of the purple. That brings some of that gold color down to the bottom. Some dot runner adhesive. And then we're going to layer a couple of different colors. So I'm going to place this banner on the bottom part of the purple banner. And then the final strip of pattern paper is a star pattern paper. That's bringing in some of the blue from the top. Again, cut the triangle from the pattern paper as we've done with the last two banners. The strips that reach across the page. And you could tear the edges of these, you could leave them straight, you could cut them out with a border strip. You can change it up however you want. This one's going to go above it. You'll notice that the width of each strip is slightly different, and I did do that on purpose because it makes it a little bit more interesting. On top of that, I'm going to add this sticker, again from the 6x13 sticker sheet, and I think I'm going to pop dot this particular one. And to do that, I'll just add some adhesive foam stickers on the back, and that will help it stick up a little bit from the page and add some dimension to the page. I like adding shadows and stuff. Now when you do place it inside your album, it might get a little squished, but it will still give the effect of a shadow or different heights, varying heights on your layout. And I always love that look. Now I'm placing it so that the innermost point of the sticker is where the blue star strip runs across the page. Now on top of that, let's layer a few elements. I'm going to add from the ephemera pack an ampersand. We'll add that there. Then I'm going to add a die cut that says Reach for the Stars. Trim off some of that blue at the bottom. I'm going to raise the ampersand just a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. And then I'm also going to add a gold label, similar to the blue one at the top, to bring in some of that gold to the bottom. Again, the important thing is we want to kind of overlap. Then at the top here, I want to bring in another gold element. Now this is a transparency, and the key with adding transparencies is to add adhesive where it won't be seen. Now part of the transparency is solid, and some of it, such as the away, is see-through. Make sure that whatever adhesive you use, it doesn't show through on the front side. So I'm just going to add some glue dots. You could use a dot runner, but again, strategically place your adhesive so that it doesn't show on the front. And we'll go ahead and we're merging the photo with the rest of the page. So we'll say away we go. And then for the journaling, I've pre-printed on some craft cardstock the journaling that I want to use. Again, it translates as somewhat gold because craft and gold look the same at different times. And we're going to place that onto the journaling card. Now you could journal directly onto the card if you wish. However, I wanted to bring in some typed journaling. So I'm going to use that instead. And I also included the date by typing it into my journaling before printing it out. Some I'm tucking behind and some I am placing on top. I'm going to be using several flare badges on this particular layout. So I have a blue one, and then I have a gold one that I will add. We're going to use up several of the embellishments in this particular collection, and I'm going to make sure the high is actually reading the same way as the words, and the dot of the circle I'm following the left line of that particular card. Now we're going to take several of the stickers, chipboard elements, and flare badges, and we're going to create a fun cluster here at the bottom. And I have lots of different ones that I've pulled out. And as I'm determining placement, I cut them with the packaging on the back so that I can manipulate and move them around. So let's go ahead and place them. We'll just start adding some of the stickered ones. To the ones that are not stickers, you could add some adhesive to the back. Some of them are already sticky and ready to go. Make sure as you're placing them down that you can read all of the different wording that you have on the layout. If you find that your stickers, if you've been manipulating them too much, if they're no longer sticky, then you can easily add adhesive to the back, such as a glue dot or something else. You want to overlap the different layers that you have created so that it looks a little bit more interesting. You could pop dot some of them if you so desire. Make sure that the patterns all look good together, and you're kind of filling in spaces wherever you see them. But you can see that we're just making sure we're filling up all the empty space. You'll also notice that on the right side of the bottom here, the ampersand and the good times, it doesn't run off the edge, but as you come towards this side of the layout, it does run off the edge. And I did that on purpose. It's just kind of fun to add some unexpected items to it. Now to these labels, you can add word stickers, you can leave them blank, you can put in dates, you can put in additional journaling. I'll leave it up to you. But here's how you create a layout that uses sophisticated collection pieces, including pattern paper, stickers, and embellishments, to create a winter page. Again, this is a page about my son, so it is about a child, and it isn't necessarily winter themed, but it's easy to take a collection and make a sophisticated winter layout by using elements that match the concept, theme, color, or whatever you're trying to convey in the story. So go ahead and look through your stash, see if you have a sophisticated collection, and then challenge yourself to make a thematic layout with it, such as this winter layout. Be sure to subscribe to the Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of these videos, and be sure to visit our blog for additional inspiration.